Okay, number 11, simplify x plus 8 quantity squared. So it's a binomial squared. First thing I want to make sure is I expand it. So this means x plus 8 times x plus 8. So that tells me it's a Punnett square problem. So I got x and 8, x and 8. X times x is x squared. X times 8 is 8x. 8 times x is 8x. And 8 times 8 is 64. So we got x squared, then I can combine this diagonal. So 8x plus 8x is 16x. And then I have positive 64, so plus 64. Okay, number 12, factor completely 30x to the 5th, y to the 6th minus 8xy. So the first term, 30x to the 5th, y to the 6th. Numbers that go into 30 are 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15, and 30. Then x to the 5th is 5x's. And y to the 6th is 6y's. Then on bottom I've got 8xy. So numbers that go into 8 are 1, 2, 4, and 8. Just don't need a parenthesis there. So 1, 2, 4, and 8, and then I have 1x and 1y. So the biggest number that goes into both of these happens to be 2. They have 1x in common and 1y. So my greatest common factor would be 2xy. Then we have to fill in the parentheses. So I pick 2. Well, 2 times what gives me 30? Well, that's 15. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 x's left over, so x to the 4th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 y's, so y to the 5th. There's a minus sign in between, so we got a minus sign here. I pick 2. 2 times what gives me 8? Well, that's 4. And I have no other x's or y's left over, so I'm done. Number 13, factor x squared plus 8x plus 7. So again, I need to make sure I know what a is. So a is the number in front of x squared, which is 1. B is the number in front of x, which is 8. And c is the number without a variable, which is 7. So then I set up my diamond. Again, a times c on top, so 1 times 7 is 7. B on the bottom is 8. Now you really only have one possibility of what multiplies to get 7, and that's just 1 and 7, and that also adds up to 8. So I can write my answer. I know it's x and x because it's x squared. Be plus 1 plus 7. Okay, 14, factor the trinomial to solve it. So again, I need to know what a, b, and c is. So a is 1, b is 5, c is negative 6. So again, I got to make my diamond. A times c on top, 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. B on bottom, and B is 5. So I've got a negative number on top, so that tells me 1 has to be a negative and 1 has to be a positive. And I also have a positive on top, so the bigger number has to be positive. So on 6, I only got 2 possibilities. It can either be 1 and 6 or 2 and 3. But I know the bigger number has to be positive. So which one of these adds up to 5? Well, that's negative 1 and 6. So I can write it as x minus 1 times x plus 6 equals 0. Then again, I want to set each of these factors equal to 0. So hopefully you're getting the hang of it by now. When I'm setting these equal to 0, my answer really just happens to be whatever the opposite is. So the opposite of negative 1 is positive 1. The opposite of positive 6 is negative 6. So that would be my two answers.